handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live from deep within the borders of occupied liberal territory known as California, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us.
Hi everybody, another Sunday, another show. This is Luca Zanna live on K-Talks 1340 AM. And this is Love, Guns, and Freedom. Also, if you want to go on the internet, lovegunsfreedom.com, you can get a live feed there. Now, today it's a very interesting show. You know, for me, some sort of, probably the most important show I've done so far. And I'll tell you why. We will talk today about a topic that some of you may say, what it has to do with guns? I mean, seriously, we're talking about guns, freedom, we're talking about education. And there is no freedom. There will be no guns, there will be no more America if we don't understand that the next generation of Americans, they're under attack. So that's what it's about. We need to, this is for me the most vital thing. You know, I have no kids, but I feel sympathetic. I feel really worried for this nation because I see that this nation is under attack from different angles. And one of the most important things I think that we need to preserve and we need to defend is the new generation of Americans. So today we will talk about Common Core for 2 solid hours, okay? I mean, normally I try to give you a break, but this is too important. And I pray you, listener, that now you're driving, maybe you're just doing something around the house, please pay some attention. As you know, I don't do this for entertaining. I'm not that good also. That's not my mission in life. This is for me like some sort of my duty as American to try to wake up people in our community. And I really mean that. And this has been a great opportunity having this show, try to share information, learning from others, and also hopefully we can learn all together. So no messing around. We will take no prisoners. This is for me political war. At least it's a war of the ideas. And as I said, if we lose the next generation of Americans, there will be no guns. There will be no love. There will be no freedom. I just see a world full of darkness, bondage, in a place where free thinking, in the free thinking process, will be completely gone. And so also the individualism that made America great will be part of the past. We're going to be living in a collectivist nightmare. Think about 1984 and more. And only love and commitment that we have now in us to engage and expose this sneaky attack over our youth's soul and brain will preserve our republic and our God-given rights. So today I brought 2 experts, because a friend of mine from Norway a few months ago, he told me, look, if you want to somehow address a problem or at least fight something, you need the power of love. And the power of love, who has more love than the mother? I really believe that. So sometimes we need to get involved to the basic emotional, these sort of feelings that are so primordial, the motherly love. So I like to listen, I try to at least understand, and that's why I'm here. I have 2 beautiful mothers from Havasu. They are modern mothers. They're also involved to understand what's going on in our politics. They're political activists, but also they are very well educated, in my opinion, when it comes down to expose and explain why this common core, that we will see exactly what it's about, is so important in a bad way and is going to be so dangerous for us. So today we have my guests are Mrs. Can I call you Mrs.? Cassandra Mooneyham, that's also a friend.
Hi, Luca.
And Mrs. Nichole Cohen is another friend of mine. Also, we are pretty much on the same side of many issues when it comes down to what we believe. Hi, Nichole. How are you?
I'm good, Luca. How are you?
Perfect. I can hear you well. From Arizona, from Lake Havasu. I'm so glad today you drove. I know that you have family time. And for you, it's so, I know you're really involved into this. You've been doing this for now what? How long you've been involved into this core, exposing common core?
January of last year.
Yeah. So more than 1 year.
Yes.
And I know beside that you were already involved in try to defend our freedom and our rights. So I really appreciate that. So guys, the show starts right now. It's going to be about Common Core. And if you think for a moment that this is not important, I just tell you something. Stop drinking your beer right now. Stop watching that TV, because you're not going to be able to be anymore living in America if this sort of a propaganda it will go be successful in this country. I want to introduce you guys with this phrase. Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. Guess who said that?
Hitler.
No, it was close to that, probably his cousin, Vladimir Lenin. Okay? So the point why I think I always so concerned about when I hear education, I understand the danger because I'm from Italy and I saw it on my own hand, a centralized system of education. And I saw what type of brainwash they were trying to do on us. Sometimes worked, sometimes didn't work that well with me, but I was probably an exception. So I understand what's going on. They're repeating the same situation. So today, I would like to start straight. Cassandra or Nichole, you can interact whenever you want. I start with a straight question. I want to assume that anybody now is listening to the radio has no idea what is about this Common Core. So what is exactly Common Core?
Well, if you look at the Common Core website, they'll tell you that it's a set of K through 12 standards to equal out education across the U.S. They'll tell you that it was voluntarily accepted and that it's internationally benchmarked. And unfortunately, it's a whole lot more than just that. But that's what the talking point is. It's just a set of standards so that all of our kids can be on the same page. So when little Johnny moves from California to New York, in third grade, he's on the same page in New York as he was in California. And that's really a funny argument. We just did some research and came to the conclusion, and I'm actually going to have to read it because this is fresh. But according to the U.S. Census Bureau, only 48 million people moved in the U.S. last year. And I'm sorry, 51 million.
Okay.
And of the 51 million people that moved, only 48,000 of them had children 6 through 17.
Okay.
And there's 54 million K through 12 students. So that accounts for less than 1%. And that's a major argument that they use, is because we have kids moving all over the place. They need to all understand the same thing. And that just falls flat when it accounts for less than 1% of the K through 12 population. So that's what they'll tell you that Common Core is.
So it's nothing bad. It's just, we have the same standard stupidity going around the States. I mean,
right.
It's a centralized form of education under the directive and under the, let's say, curriculum that somebody that we have no really idea who is, maybe then we'll find out later, in Washington, I guess, anyway, centralized form of a standard that is dictated by some bureaucrat or some other, I don't know who is, in Washington, right?
Well, and the point of this from the supporters of Common Core is that this is going to be standards to help children to be college and career ready for the 21st century.
Okay.
So they say that we're failing our kids, which I would argue in many ways we are failing our kids. However, they think that this is going to provide the answer of giving the new skills of tomorrow. But we've seen how quickly technology is changing. I don't know that we can accurately assess what the skills of tomorrow are. I think there's basic things that children need to know and understand, but these standards are extremely specific to what skills are trying to be taught and behaviors that will be taught.
And in a defense of the teachers, especially in Arizona, they've been dealing with standards now for almost 30 years. So, across the country, we've had standards for a long time. And so they think that Common Core is just another set of standards. We had No Child Left Behind, Goals 2000. There's another one I can't think of right now. And so they think it's just another, every 6 or 7 years, there's a big change, and they think that this is part of it, but it's way more sinister than that.
And I want to be fair because, now everybody's freaking out justly that, it's Obama. No Child Left Behind was the precursor of Common Core, and correct me if I'm wrong because, you're the expert into this. And Bush was as bad as part of this globalization, because pretty much come down to this. And it was just another shade of gray. I mean, it was some sort of preparing. Every time you see these names like, No Child Left Behind, I say, oh yeah, it sounds good. Like Patriot Act sounds great. Then you start to understand exactly what it's about, and you see that there is a bottom line, to keep it simple, an overreach of federal control over the content of education that, in my opinion, should be, first of all, the family should be the one in charge, but more important, the local government, where local communities can pretty much control better what type of message we want to give to our kids. So correct me if I'm wrong. Am I right about this? Bush, No Child Left Behind was pretty much a precursor of Common Core.
And to further that, the Common Core standards were being developed before Obama was even elected. So
Good.
While he has jumped onto the bandwagon
Yes.
and has supported it, at the same time, this isn't his doing. And that's an important thing for us to keep clear, because once you start spouting off that, oh, this is Obama's doing, all of a sudden you
lose credibility.
You really do. I mean, you no longer have a valid argument at that point.
Perfect. And I would like to say one simple concept, beside the politics, beside left or right, if you believe that centralization, this country was created on these United States of America, so 50 states, and that was so unique. You're tired of one state, you go to other state. Different politics, different people, different ideas. Beautiful. So it's decentralization. Now, Common Core, it is exactly the opposite. We have a complete central federal control, and you're going to have no more choices to say, okay, I want to go to another state. I want to, maybe even, let's say if you're a liberal, okay? Let's say if you're liberal, think if this was something that exactly opposite to your belief system, and you're stuck now with some sort of extreme right-wing administration or sort of a government that they're going to dictate you that all over America, you're going to be stuck with this. So I try always to reach the other people, because people that they're still defending something when it's more emotional than factual, just because they think it's the other side. Think if it was somebody else that you completely despise, like a right-wing conspiracy and or some sort of a theological or whatever you don't like as a liberal person. And now you have a centralization form of government. You have no more place to hide, no more place to bring your kids for a different type of belief, So I always am against any type of centralization,
Well, if we look at the strict constitutional side of it, people like to claim to be constitutionalists and things like this. And our country was founded using the Constitution, and there were very few powers that were given to the federal government. And one of them was not education. That was to be left to the states.
Exactly.
And so the first problem would be the formation of the U.S. Department of Education. So that already is unconstitutional and already an overstepping of the powers. But we've seen it progressively get worse and worse since it was founded, in the 60s. And this is like the ultimate power grab for the U.S. Department of Education.
The consolidation, let's put it this way. There was
Yes.
the full takeover, right, Nichole?
I believe so. It hasn't. It's not complete yet. We're kind of right in the middle of it.
Yes.
But there's a big difference between No Child Left Behind and Common Core. And No Child Left Behind, as unrealistic as it was, it made it a mandate that 100% of your children would pass these assessment tests. But the assessment tests were left up to each individual state.
Yes.
So now the way that they got these states, they bribed them to sign up and accept Common Core before they were even written, mind you.
Wow.
Was to bribe them with money. And they did this while the state's legislatures, a majority of them were out of session. This was November, I think, of '09.
We're talking about Arizona right now, right?
Well, all over the country.
Okay, all over the country.
All
okay.
over the country. And they had little time to make the decision and fill out the application. But besides the money that they were bribing them with, they were bribing them with waivers for No Child Left Behind mandates, which when you have a mandate that says 100% of your children will meet or exceed, this standard of testing, that's not possible. And when you have money that hinges on that, you're going to grab that money and you're going to grab the waiver to
Yes.
get yourself out of it because you think it can't possibly be as bad as No Child Left Behind. So that's what the states did, 46 of them, I believe, to start with.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
there was no due diligence done. Nobody took the time to question any anything that was taking place, and that's what I find so disturbing.
You know what else I find disturbing? If somebody really believes, and there are people out there, trust me, they do believe, that the state is the final god or authority that pretty much every time we need something, starting from education, we have to go to, at least we know it, it's their opinion or it's their plan, and we fight them, okay? That's simple as black, like that. I have a big problem, and I also have more respect. I have had last week a guest that we are completely, let's say, opposite philosophies, and we didn't even go into much details. We just started with the things we have in common. Next time we will go in a couple of weeks exactly all the other things we disagree. But at least I have respect that I know where he stands and he spells it out. It is not like some sort of a sneakers, spy without uniform that try to stab you in the back. Mm-hmm. Instead, I lose the respect with people like, for example, Doris Goodale, and I can say the name right now, Representative Doris Goodale, that I'm glad that she's back and she's healthy, but I gave her the chance to be here. I called her and also told her I would drive her here. And I'm a very civil person, but at the same time, I still have losing respect. I can tell you politely, I have lost respect for you. Doesn't mean that I hate you. It's not impersonal. When we have people that's supposed to represent the value that we believe, it comes down to individualism, to, anyway, the state, the federal government stay away from our life. Instead, they have been voting repeatedly on very important issues. And it's time, even if she was not into vote, because I know that you will tell me now, Common Core wasn't about legislation. It wouldn't be part of it yet. But still, you can support it. She was going around the county with the proponent of Common Core at this meeting. I don't know why she's doing that. She had not to vote about it, but she really was a defender of this Common Core. You agree with me? I mean, do you see that at least she's a defender of the Common Core according to the records that we have?
Absolutely. That's what started our investigation into it, was a bill last January that she sponsored to get rid of Ames to make way for Common Core. Mm-hmm. And we had just barely heard about Common Core, and that's when we started doing our research.
Yeah. So, I'm disappointed because, we don't need to agree on everything. I said, sometimes we have to, there are some basic, fundamental, mortal sins that you cannot get away with that. We can forgive you small stuff. And when you play around, and, I say ignorance can be fixed. I was ignorant. I'm ignorant. Sometimes I always learn something new. And I say I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I like to rectify. And we try to give her information. I think she has plenty of information. I mean, seriously. And I wish all this stuff that we're talking today was just a bunch of conspiracies. I would be so happy to play some music and we move on. Unfortunately, the evidence we will bring now, she should really be concerned because also she's a grandmother. And I pray that in a good faith, she will find out a way to maybe admit that if she was wrong in her opinion. And maybe we can move from there because so far I have really lost respect for any politicians on the Republican side that they've been supposed to represent our values of freedom, individual rights, and also constitution. We'll see why Common Core, I think, and our founding documents, they really can go together. I mean, if you believe in that, you believe in a global government. That's the bottom line. We'll go through that. Before I go ahead, ladies, I forgot. I have sponsors. Otherwise, they're going to get mad, okay? And they're great sponsors. I really appreciate the help. Differently from the government, we do not point a gun at your face when we ask your money. We just, hopefully, we happy that you give it to us. And we give you the best we can in exchange. So, first sponsor, we have MP Gun Sales. If you need a gun, if you need some, even just consulting, some ideas, you want to learn about the new guns or ammunition or whatever, there is a great shop. It's here in Fort Mojave, in front of Maverick, Highway 95, 4470. I'll give you also the phone number, 928-444-5905. MP Gun Sales. It's open from Monday to Friday, since Monday to Friday. And Saturday, also you got from 9 to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. Ask for Neil. He's a great guy, and I appreciate his help. Then we have another great sponsor. It's another individual. Believe it or not, our sponsor believe in freedom, and they believe in freedom of speech. So I really appreciate their support. The other sponsor is Colorado River Vapor. Okay, my friend Todd, and you gotta get the phone number also, 928-763-3536. 928-763-3536, and they're located exactly like 100 yards from the gun shop. So you can go get a gun, and then you can go like a little vapor to smoke, okay? It's alternative way of cigarettes. I really like it. So you don't need to smoke nicotine. It's fun. And by the way, they have also a great music area. You can play live music, listen to live music. And Colorado River vapor. Thank you very much. Now back to business.
Can I take a step back real quick?
Yes, please.
Nichole gave a great introduction as to what Common Core is as far as from the supporter side, the standards. And
Yes.
that's the majority of what we hear about it. But I like to bring forward the fact that it's a three-part program. It's a three-phase program. So the first phase is where Arizona is at and where most of the states are, and that's the phase of the implementation of the standards. So that involves teacher training and beginning to instruct the children on these standards. Now, phase 2 brings in the testing. There are 2 testing consortiums. One of them is the PARC test, and one of them is Smarter Balanced. Now, we're in Arizona a member of the PARC test. So the testing is this nationalized, standardized test. And here we start getting into some more of the concerns because the SAT tests and the ACT tests are also aligning with the PARC tests. And so in order to enter college, you'll need to know Common Core. And so that becomes a concern, especially for families who are choosing not to participate in Common Core through either homeschooling or private schooling. And then that gets us to the third phase. The third phase is the end after the standardized testing has been conducted, and that's the data collection.
Okay.
And the data collection I find to be the most absolutely concerning. This is where personally identifiable information on each and every student will be collected, stored, and shared. This information will also be compiled from other government organizations such as your local police department,
Wow.
your DES, food stamps. All of these other agencies will work together to get a complete profile on not only the child, but the child's family as well. The IRS, all of them will be worked together into this great big database.
That's good.
Now, the information not only will be shared between other schools. Here's the argument is the children can travel from district to district and their information's there and no wasted time. Well, the information will also be shared with corporations who want to purchase this information.
Yes.
And they can purchase it not only for advertising purposes, but they can also purchase it for hiring purposes. And so in the future, your child may not even need to apply with the company and do an interview. They already have the complete profile.
Like 1984, they pretty much,
Exactly.
or even better, Matrix. You know, Matrix, when there is they got the guy, you know, the main actor, and they put him in the room, and they come out with a pile of documents, and they know everything about you. Like it's a horror movie. I mean, seriously, wow.
Absolutely. So I try to emphasize when people say, oh, Common Core is not that bad, or we don't see it affecting them very much right now. Well, we're in phase 1, very early in phase 1 of a 3-phase program.
Wow.
So we're only at the tip of the iceberg here, and we've got a long way to go.
A long
Nichole, Cassandra, I'm very honored to be with you today because I can see like a lifetime, I mean, like a time machine. And I hope and I pray every night that we're going to win. We have to, at least we're trying. And today, 2014, let's see, what day? March the 2nd, I guess. And I want to remember in history, if one day they're going to watch this little digital file or listen, if it's not going to be outlawed, we'll see. We are here to fight back. We take no prisoners, and I'm so proud to be with you. Again, I thank the radio to give me this opportunity, even we may agree or disagree, doesn't matter. I'm still here to try to reach as many people as we can in this community right now. This is for me not a hobby. I'm not here, I don't drive all the way here. I could be at the range right now having fun or other stuff. I really mean it. We got to do everything we can in our district, in our battlefield, it's our county, because that's where we can make changes. And then if everybody else can do their part, we will take it back. But if we lose it, like almost a bad movie, like almost Terminator, you see what happened when they sent back, the good guys to try to warn them, don't do it, or do the right thing. We may live in a hell of a world, more important, in a hell of America. If you tell me that the government has complete control over your minds, your kid's mind, that's bad enough. But also they have the information about everybody in your family. That's like, where do you go? I mean, what do you do? I mean, this is insane.
Well, we're seeing a lot of pushback against the NSA spying, and we're seeing bills to combat that. But what we're missing here is these are children. They're not even old enough
Yes.
to defend their Fourth Amendment rights.
Exactly.
And here we are giving it away.
Selling
I mean,
it.
they don't even have the opportunity to be old enough to protect themselves, and we're supposed to be good stewards of that.
Yes.
We're responsible to protect our children, and we're failing.
Exactly. And Nichole, I know we have all the preparation there, and I want to go straight now to another point, and then you can interact and go back. You have a lot of information there already. That's the point. These kids are young men, young women. They don't have still enough fortitude. They don't have enough strength or information to be able to defend themselves, defend their brain, defend their also the way they look at politics, because they are not still into the world. Okay, they are too young. Instead, what I see that is so dangerous, the attempt to, through this program, to completely not just give them information like, okay, let's learn about how to do mathematics. By the way, we will go there. They have also different system. Let's learn about factual history, not opinions or political opinions. They try instead to completely shape them since they are so young, talking about 5, 6 years old immediately, for a political agenda to become global citizen. Mm-hmm. And UNESCO, people don't know what is UNESCO, go find out. Maybe you can give us more details. It's pretty much the arm of the United Nations when it comes down to education. That's exactly the problem, the point. They need to destroy America completely, the sovereignty of America, and every other nation, don't get me wrong. And I'll give you now the proof of what happened to me when I was in Italy. To create this global government, you need to have a new generation of global citizens. That unfortunately people say, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? First of all, I believe in America. That's what's wrong. Second of all, go to check the Bill of Rights and see if there is anything that goes along with the Declaration of Rights or whatever, United Nations. You are a slave. You have no rights. You have just privileges. So that's what's wrong. But more important now, in Italy, I tell you what happened to me when I was 7, 8, 9. You ever heard about the European community? Now you know about there is a European community, right? Mm-hmm. That time, talking about this late 70s, early 70s, was just an idea. It was just this trade, free trade. It was just to improve trades between different nations, different states. I remember still my assignment that I had to write down, 100 times, I want to be a European citizen. On the page, 100 times. And then I had to do the composition, why Europe is so beautiful. And then they give you the little logo and you need to copy, like a little brainwashing. And now I see it. And by the way, I never liked that. I was always smart enough to say, you know what, screw it. Okay. Can I say whatever? I say go away. That's the bottom line. But the point was very serious. And now we have the global government in complete control of Europe. There is no more sovereignty. There is no more national independence. And you have this first block. It's called European Community, where people have no rights.
Right.
I give you an example. Listen, if you think the Common Core is not going to touch, I'll give you a little example. Now, the European community, not even the parliament, but the bureaucrats above the parliament decides, if you are a farmer, how much milk your farm can produce. They give you a quota. If you go above that quota, it's called SWAT team. Not even your local SWAT team. It's called now the International Police Force of the United Nations. They are under the European community. So you're going to live like in hell. So you better start to pay attention. Okay, go ahead, Nichole. You got to probably...
Well, I think that Agenda 21 in the United Nations, that's a whole nother show because you could go on forever about that. But
we can give them an idea.
For the people that
Yes.
think that it's a conspiracy theory, I mean, it's fact. We're a member. We've got president's councils. Our local governments are using ICLEI, and it goes on and on. And you definitely see some of it in some of the curriculum that you see floating across the internet. Mm-hmm. But I want to make clear that Common Core is not a curriculum yet. I mean, it is not. And so when you see people putting stuff online that says, look at this Common Core math paper, look at this Common Core, reading assignment, we haven't gone there yet. Everything's aligning to Common Core, so that's just what parents who haven't seen the fuzzy math yet call it. They call it Common Core math, even though it's not yet.
It is not yet.
So I just want to make it clear it's not a curriculum yet.
Okay.
But I wanted to go back to rights of privacy for our children.
Yes.
And there was a law enacted in 1974, and it's called the FERPA law. and that's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And it's been gutted by Arne Duncan without legislative authority, without congressional authority,
Okay.
I mean. And it was gutted effective 1/3 of 2012. And what Arne Duncan did by circumventing the Congress, he changed 3 statutory terms that basically, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney and I wish I had a close attorney friend that could go over this with me, but he redefined 3 statutory terms. So now an authorized representative, in terms of the law, means any individual or entity designated by the state or local education authority. That right there is so frightening because that basically means anybody in the educational authority can deem somebody else an authorized representative, whether they're a third-party vendor, have nothing to do with education, private company, anybody.
And this is for the personally identifiable information.
And then education program was redefined, and now it means any audit or evaluation. So that's endless. Anytime somebody wants to audit anything or evaluate anything, now all of a sudden your child's personally identifiable information is open to these people.
Wow.
And then the most disturbing was directory information, which is now considered the child's name, address, phone number, date and place of birth, biometric information, including fingerprints, retina, iris patterns, DNA sequence, voice prints, personal health records, and social security number.
Oh my God, Nichole, this first of all, these are facts. This is something that you have a document.
Absolutely.
Now, I would like to ask seriously, as a son, because Representative Doris Goodale from our district, state of Arizona, House, she could be my mom, okay? Representative Doris Goodale, please. I'm not even mad. I'm very depressed, probably, and mostly I'm disappointed. After you know this type of information, and this is just a little tip of the iceberg. I mean, if you understand that UNESCO is behind, and you understand all this, and you're supposed to be for our rights and our constitution, our state, more important, how can you support such a travesty? I mean, this is a really love message I have for her, okay? I'd like to know the answer. Say, come here, tell us how your brain works. Maybe we are wrong. I mean, maybe I'm just insane. But this is enough. How can you get a little child that, first of all, he doesn't even know what he's talking about most of the time? I mean, he's a little kid, okay? And you try to put him in the sort of grab information that could be compromising for his future, also for your family present, because you can get you in trouble. And it's my privacy. And you can extort questions in a different way that you can completely transform. I mean, a kid can say things that he doesn't even mean, or maybe he can just see a reality that is not real, you know?
Kids say the darndest things.
Yeah, sometimes they say things, oh yeah, I saw mom, she was, I don't know, doing strange things upside down. Maybe she was just cleaning. I mean, seriously. Oh, she had a strange little bag with something inside. I mean, it's a kid. You have no right over my kid. You should just teach him the basics. Wow.
Well, I think we should move back to the standards. Now,
Yes.
as far as the standards are concerned, we've gone through and evaluated, and some of them seem extremely benign and no problem. But then once we have now done some research on some specific standards, we're seeing that a lot of early childhood psychologists are finding that these standards are not developmentally appropriate. These are things, they're asking things of children that their minds are just not yet capable of doing. And of course, there's always the exceptions. Children advance at different ages.
Okay.
But at the same time, the general group usually comes to these different developmental ages at different times. And Nichole may be able to speak a little more to that.
I do. I have a couple of examples of what would be considered developmentally inappropriate. And before I share that, I wanted to tell you about a joint statement that was signed back in early 2010.
Okay.
And it was, I don't have it right in front of me, the Child for Alliance Development, I believe it's called. Anyways, it was over 500 early development specialists, doctors, curriculum specialists, and the document is easy to find, and it lists everybody's name and their title, their specialty, and they all signed it begging the NGA and the CCSO, the National Governors Association, and the
Common Core State Standards.
well, the Chief Council of State School Officers, begging them to stop this because the K through 3 standards especially were so developmentally inappropriate that it was going to wreak havoc on these kids. And we don't have to look any further than New York to see that that's happened, but we'll go into that later.
1 second only. I think I may have somebody on the air. Let's see if I got it right. Are you on the air?
I am. Hello. Hi, Luca. How are you?
Senator Ward, how are you there? Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for asking me and letting me know when the show was going on so that I could call in for a couple of minutes.
You are live right now. We are live right
All right.
now on 1340 AM with Cassandra and Nichole and Luca.
Hi, Senator.
Well, you've got the experts on Common Core on your show right now. Cassandra and Nichole have studied this issue, and they know the pros and the cons, and that there are mostly cons surrounding Common Core.
Perfect. And I have just, we have a simple question. Of course, Cassandra and maybe Nichole have another question. I have a personal question. I heard there is a piece of legislation in Phoenix right now, in the Capitol, that is trying to stop Common Core implementation in our state. And can you give us maybe a couple of more details about it?
Sure. We have several pieces, but the one that cuts right to the heart of Common Core is Senator Melvin's Senate Bill 1310. It basically says that Arizona will not participate in Common Core at all. So it's the most straightforward. It's probably going to be the most harassed, if a bill could be harassed, and he'll probably be the most harassed senator about it. But it is out there, and it is a way to say no Common Core in Arizona. We have a couple of other bills. I have one, 1388, that basically says that all education is done at the local level. So the local school boards, and along with their parents and the community members that are interested, would determine what the standards would be, what the assessments would be, whether a kid is competent or not. All of those things would be done at the local level rather than having the state school board push down to the local levels what the standards will be. The Arizona college and career ready standards would not be pushed on the districts. However, if there were districts who wanted to use those standards, they would be free to do so. But other reasonable districts who want to see their kids succeed and thrive might choose something different.
Perfect. Lisa, thank you, Senator. Ladies, any questions you have since we have a senator here?
I do have one question, Senator Ward. I believe it was your bill, SB 1095. Is that the bill that would delay the high-stakes testing for 3 years? Can you tell us about that?
That is the bill, and Nichole was at the hearing that day. It was a pretty lengthy hearing that we had, and that bill did not get a hearing. However, we're hoping to be able to strike that onto something else as things move forward. Put it onto a bill that is similar so that it is associated with that, or if we need to, find another education bill just to do that on standalone. There wasn't enough time in that hearing to get it heard, so now it can't move forward until and unless it's added to something else. But that would prevent any high-stakes testing for 3 years, and I'll tell you that for me, I don't think we need those high-stakes tests, and I would hope that after 3 years, the districts would see that that is a valid point, and then they would go away forever. But, we'll see.
Now, piggybacking on that, I've heard that the State Board of Education in Arizona may be somewhat interested in delaying the PARCC test because, one, it's not ready, and two, they're concerned about the results affecting them financially. Have you heard anything from the State Board directly about that?
I have not heard anything directly from the state board. That is a piece of legislation that I was asked to bring on behalf of our school district in Lake Havasu. They, not just Lake Havasu, actually all of the superintendents from Mojave County were interested in that legislation because they feel like a lot has been put on our teachers and on our schools in the last couple of years, and adding one more thing, especially a test that hasn't been finished and has no proof behind it, what evidence of what it's supposed to help our students to do, is just one more thing that's going to make it harder for them to do the job of trying to help our kids be successful and trying to educate our kids in the important things rather than in the social issues.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Senator Ward.
Nichole, any question you have before we let the senator go? She's busy today. I know she has meetings, and I'm really appreciated that she called in. Any question, Nichole?
I don't have any questions. I just encourage Senator Ward to speak with her colleagues when she has the time and explain to them that this is a bipartisan issue and we need the Democrats' help as much as we need the Republicans' help.
Yes, I agree.
And Nichole, I know that we've kind of talked about the frustrations down there when the Democrats decide they're going to vote one way and then 3 or 4 Republicans switch sides and push things that are very progressive like this through onto the people of Arizona. So we may want to stop trying to get to those 3 or 4 Republicans. I don't think they're going to change, and start working on some of the more moderate Democrats to come over to our way of thinking so that we can prevent this from happening in Arizona.
Perfect. Thank you, Senator Aurelia. Anything else you want to say before I let you go to your business?
No, you guys keep on going and let Nichole and Cassandra get the word out because, as I said, they definitely are experts in this field. And if people have questions, I hope that they'll get in touch with them so that they can give them the information that they need to convert people over to the right way of thinking.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Senator Ward. Thank you.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This was Senator Kelly Ward, and I appreciate their time to call us in with the update about the new legislation. Now, we have so many more other information to go through. Nichole, I know you want to go through. Nichole, go ahead.
Well, we were talking about standards before Kelly came, or Senator Ward came on the line. Anyways, I just wanted to go over a couple of examples.
Yes.
And in order to the listener who might not know anything about childhood development, which I knew nothing about until I got a quick crash course in it, I wanted to explain. So we've got a kindergarten standard here, and it is asking for our kindergartners. It's on page 2 of the Kindergarten Overview, Arizona College and Career Standards. Under mathematical practices, these are the 8 things that they want kindergartners to know how to do.
Okay.
Number 2 is reason abstractly and quantitatively. This is impossible for a kindergartner to do.
Yeah, I can do it myself, I
That's
guess.
it's developmentally inappropriate.
Yeah.
Number 3, construct a viable argument and critique the reasoning of others. Again, that's abstract.
Oh, my God. We're talking about 5 years old?
This is kindergarten math standards.
Oh,
5
my
to
God.
6 years old.
So when you look at
You're gonna fuse that
kindergartners, ages 5 to 6, they're in what's called a pre-operational phase.
Yes.
You don't even begin to develop the framework to think in an abstract way until you're age 11 to 12, which is 6th grade.
Yes.
So when people say, oh, these standards are great, they're going to make our kids so smart, no, they're going to make our kids stressed out.
And frustrated.
From the get-go.
Yes.
I mean, at a time when they're going to school to learn how to be independent and do their own thing, and it's so exciting. And then, like I said earlier, you don't have to look any further than New York. If you just go Google New York Common Core testimony, you won't believe what you're watching. You won't believe the people on both sides of the political spectrum, from school superintendents and teachers and parents and licensed clinical social workers that are all testifying before their New York assembly about how they're devastating their kids. The licensed clinical social workers are talking about the increase in bedwetting and school refusals and, vomiting.
Fear. I mean, I would be afraid.
Absolute stress because when you tie a teacher's salary to how their children do on a test, you've just sucked the love out of learning or the love of learning out of the classroom, because now these kids are just being trained every day. They're just being trained.
Wow.
And kids can be trained to answer questions.
Yeah, like a little puppet.
They haven't made that internal connection.
Yeah.
They've just been trained to answer
it's
a
not
question.
actual learning.
Exactly.
Right.
It's memorization.
Exactly.
Now, how we got to these standards that are so developmentally inappropriate, what happened is the group who were creating the standards were mostly business owners and representatives for corporations.
Yes.
And these people said, this is the skill set we want our employees to have in the future.
Our
and
slaves.
So they went backwards from there. So they said, as an adult, I want you to have this skill set. And they worked down through the ages, saying what you would need to know at each age in order to work backwards towards their standards. So it had nothing to do with teachers developing the skills and understanding at what ages things are appropriate. It didn't involve any early childhood psychologists. It didn't involve parents. Most parents, I may not be able to specifically say a child cannot think abstractly, but if you've raised children, you know at what ages they become able to grasp certain ideas. So the standards were developed from a strictly corporate idea, and that's why I'm interested that so many people on the further left side are not against this program, because this is the epitome of a crony corporatist deal.
Yes.
We are seeing huge corporations tied in with this, and there's a lot of money to be made. In Arizona, Pearson Education is an international corporation. They write curriculum. Well, Pearson is who Arizona has already decided, from the mouth of State Superintendent John Huppenthal, Pearson will be grading Arizona's park test. And so and they're also part of developing this test. So this is where we get to the curriculum. Right now, Common Core is not a curriculum, but if Pearson's writing the test, if Pearson's grading the test, and the teacher's salary and the district rating is tied to the result of that test, it only makes sense that you would purchase the curriculum provided by that corporation.
Of course. And I have a really important question now, because we are discovering the snake. I mean, this is like a very sneaky snake dressed as a innocent little, mice or something nice, cute, It's dangerous. And it's sneaking in silently. And the effects is like a slow pill. Like, you got a poison pill. You don't die immediately. You need probably about 10, 15 years. But when you have a generation of young Americans completely clueless and completely uneducated. And Thomas Jefferson said, I think was, if you want to be free, you must be educated, you must know. And more important now, they're going to be educated in the wrong things. I mean, they're going to be brainwashed. I fear the day I'm going to be walking on the streets of that America. I mean, we're going to be living like we don't need any more. They don't need any more revolution. They don't need any more camps. They don't need any more force. They're pretty much going to isolate the great generation, at least the generation that was still part of America. The great generation, unfortunately, we lost in World War II now. But we're going to be looking like we are from another planet. And I feel really sad about it. Because, I don't know if I can face that.
Unfortunately, Common Core state standards are not really there to help educate our children. They're there to train a workforce. They're not there to get children ready for college. Notice how they call them college and career ready.
Yes.
It's really for career ready.
Yes.
And there's a few things that I just wanted to bring to light. One of the developers, one of the key Common Core creators, his name was Jason Zimba. And this is all documented. I've got all the information and the audio for it. But the question is, does Common Core prepare students for college? And his response is, quote, he said, I think it's, actually somebody answered no, not for a 4-year university. That was Dr. Sandra Stotsky. It minimally prepares students for a non-collegiate workforce or for non-selective community colleges. And then this creator, Jason Zimba, said, I think that's a fair critique that it's not a minimal definition of college readiness, but not for colleges most parents aspire to. Not for STEM colleges. It's also not for selective colleges. For example, UC Berkeley, whether you're going to be an engineer or not, you better have pre-calculus to get into UC Berkeley. So they're not really there to help educate our kids, to get them into a 4-year college, that's the propaganda that all these state school boards are spouting. We need to, our poor kids, they're so stupid. I mean, that's essentially what they're telling us.
Yeah.
In the state of Arizona, we spend over $8 billion a year just on K through 12 education.
Okay.
We spend $16 billion a year on education K through the universities.
Wow.
But our annual budget in Arizona is only about $30 billion. So we spend over half on education, but we're constantly told, oh, the poor kids, oh, we don't have any money, oh, they're so far behind other countries. Oh, I didn't
Stay there. No, we have still another minute. And before we go there, I would like to, first of all, listeners, stay there, because now we're going to find out who is behind, okay? Because first of all, this didn't happen overnight. And we have names. And sometimes, there are people that they cannot even vote and they're still doing what they can to push this agenda. But now I would like to know exactly who's materially responsible in the state of Arizona for this nightmare. So we will find out the names, and more important, I want to find out the solutions, because, first of all, the first solution we must have is to learn. If we don't know that we have a problem, we're not going to fix the problem. And after we understand that there is a problem, and please, let's be open to admit that we were wrong, or at least maybe we didn't know what's going on. Second hour, we'll talk right now about more nightmares about this common core, and more important, to find out who is the responsible, or who are the responsibles, and how to fix this problem. Don't get overwhelmed, because we can fix at least in our district. We may not fix at national level, but if everybody does the little dirty job here in our county, in our district, we will make it. Stay tuned. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, with Nichole Cohen and Cassandra Mooneyham. Did I say right, Mooneyham? Very good. Okay, guys, stay there.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to KTOX 1340 AM, Needles, California.
Visit NP Gunsmith and Sales at 4470 Highway 95, Suite 13 at Camp Mojave Road in Fort Mojave. If you're looking for a special gun, accessory, or shooter's gift, NP Gun Sales blows the competition out of the water. Automatics, revolvers, ammo, archery supplies, knives, and valuable advice from our knowledgeable weapons masters make NP Gunsmith and Sales the shooter's paradise. Stop by or call us at 928-444-5905.
This portion of Love, Guns, and Freedom is brought to you by Colorado River Vapor. The best place for a smoking alternative is Colorado River Vapor in Fort Mojave. Vapor is all the rage, and Colorado River Vapor has it all covered. They have a learning center for one-on-one instruction, and they'll customize a kit for your individual needs. There are over 180 flavors of e-juice to choose from in any nicotine level. There are 2 e-juice bars where you can try your flavors before you purchase. Colorado River Vapor has a wide variety of all the latest vapor accessories. Come in and meet our professional staff and enjoy the relaxing atmosphere and conversation. Ditch the tar and trash the ash and catch the wave and vape at Colorado River Vapor, located at 4400 South Highway 95 in Fort Mojave.
And we are back into the studios, K-Talks 1340 AM. This is Luca Zanna, Love, Guns, and Freedom, with my special guest talking about a very vital message. Message how to preserve our next generation of Americans to this indoctrination, federal brainwashing that is not just federal, this comes directly from global government. It's called Common Core. And I'm here back with Nichole and Cassandra. Hi, Nichole. Hi, Cassandra. I know you have a lot of things you want to share. The first hour went very fast. Let's attack. Let's expose the enemy. Go ahead.
Oh, are you talking
yes,
to me?
you.
Sorry.
Any of you. Whatever you want.
The enemy. Okay. The
let's
enemy
expose,
in the state or the enemy in the country?
The enemies of freedom, the enemy of this republic, enemies of our children. Let's say...
we can talk about where it came from. We can talk about who brought it about in the state of Arizona.
Let's start with that.
In the state of Arizona, the acceptance was signed by former Superintendent of Public Education, Tom Horn, which is currently our AG.
Wow.
And Jan Brewer.
Wow.
So those were the two. And Tom Horn won't talk about it now.
Mm-hmm.
He said he had nothing to do with the implementation. And John Huppenthal, who's our current superintendent of schools, says there's nothing he can do about it because this is what he was given.
Wow, so they wash each other's hands.
I want to just interject really quickly there. In some other states, we're seeing a pushback from attorney generals against the state superintendents as far as how Common Core was adopted in those states. But because our current attorney general was our prior superintendent and he is the one who adopted this program, there will be no pushback from Tom Horn.
Yes.
Zero.
Wow.
I'm sorry, you can continue.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I've learned a new thing today because honestly, in my political iron sight, I had John Huppenthal that was the main guy. I didn't know about Tom Horn, and I regret that I signed a petition for many reasons. But one of the reasons that I signed the petition, I regret it because now I understand that it was behind Common Core, and I will be sure that I will never vote for Mr. Whatever is his name, I try to forget anymore.
Tom Horn.
Tom Horn. That's the bottom line. Okay, keep going, please. Give me more.
And then I just wanted to point out, before I forget or it gets missed, that this election year, John Huppenthal, the state superintendent of schools, he's up for election this year. And he's being Diane Douglas is running against him. And this woman is tenacious. She will fight to get rid of Common Core. And, of course, she has very little name recognition, and she doesn't have the money behind her like Huppenthal does. So I just wanted to get that out there. Hopefully people will go to her website and sign her petition.
Okay.
And she doesn't have the likes of Pearson behind her contributing. I do want to point out that John Huppenthal did receive what are considered gifts of over $500. They don't go into what kind of detail, but from Pearson. And he got a trip to China,
Wow.
a trip to Brazil, and a trip to Japan.
Wait a second. This is the guy that's in charge of our education in our state of Arizona?
Yes, and
Absolutely.
he has now selected Pearson as the corporation to grade our tests.
Wait a second. This guy is going to China. What type of benefit of education we are learning? The Chinese method style? I mean, how to be good slaves? I mean, why he went to China?
Well, this goes back to the whole international benchmarking. We're told
Oh
that
my
our
God.
students are so far behind students in China, for example, but when you look at who is being compared, we're not seeing apples to apples. In the United States, every child is included in our statistics. That includes our developmentally disabled, that includes every socioeconomic class. Now, when we compare with China, only the children of the high socioeconomic families in Shanghai are evaluated.
Yes.
So this is not their entire nation's children.
Exactly.
So this is their exceptional. Their best and brightest are being compared against our entire population, and that's not an even comparison.
And I have another problem here. You know, besides the fact that there may be all geniuses out there, I wouldn't ever get as a model a nation that is based on force, coercion, violence, one-child policy that they can abort kids when they're already just born, dissidents put in camps. I'm talking about a totalitarian regime.
Unless your goal was workforce training and not education.
Exactly. Be a slave. I mean, I would never go to, even if they have found some magic new way. I mean, the point is we know that people, they are not free. China is not about freedom. It's the opposite of what's supposed to be our republic. There are no rights. You're just a slave of the state. You are just a worker. And especially, and now you send our state guy that's supposed to learn or to improve our education, getting a model from communist China. This, you know, up until you're a scumbag, seriously. And this is my word. This is nothing. What I'm saying now, this is not Nichole. This is not Cassandra Mooneyham. This is Luca Zanna. I despise you like you have no idea. Seriously. I hope you're going to find a place in hell that you're going to remember that your kids and grandkids, unfortunately, they're going to live the same hell that you're preparing for us. And I'm sorry, because I wish your kids and grandkids the best. But you're doing I don't know if you're just stupid. I don't know if you're just ignorant. I don't know if you're just arrogant. I don't know if you're being paid off. I don't know. All I know that you're an enemy of this state. You're an enemy of our freedom. And the state of Arizona deserves better than you. So I prayed God tonight, first of all, that you're going to find some sanity before you leave office. And number two, I pray that you're going to leave office so fast that the door is going to hit your butt so fast they're going to hurt you in a political way.
Now, I just want to jump back real quick to what Nichole said, the workforce training. These are college and career-ready standards, and people think, well, yeah, our kids need to be ready for the workforce. Well, wait a minute. What kind of careers were these corporations who developed the standards looking for? They are not looking for innovators. They're not looking for small business owners. They're not looking for inventors, entrepreneurs. No, they are looking for someone who reads the instruction manual, does as they're told, clocks in and out on time, and just does what they need to do. This is not our innovators. This is not American exceptionalism by any manner. This is just widgets in the workforce.
Exactly. And my point is exactly, there are 2 points. Who is behind education? Let's not forget, it didn't start today, talking about early 1900.
The Prussian model.
The Prussian model, you're very informed.
The Carnegie Foundation.
Carnegie Foundation. I mean, now we're throwing just keywords because we don't have 25 hours to do a show about everything. But people, if you're interested, understand this is a plan, long plan. And as Mussolini said, this is not for helping the people, it's about fascism. And when there is a corporation, the union between a corporation and the government is called fascism. So let's not forget that John D. Rockefeller, that was the number one pretty much of the Rockefeller family to take over America banking system and also industrial, like a monopoly. 2 things he said that they really should make you understand. I do not want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. And the Rockefeller Foundation has been a vital part in implementation all the different standards that we have in our national education system. So another thing he said, competition is a sin. So you don't want to have new geniuses. You don't want to have the new Bill Gates, and then we'll talk about that scumbag too. They're talking about they want slaves. They want workers. They know how to do, smart enough to operate a machine, but not smart enough to create a new industry, a new business, something beautiful like America used to do. Go ahead. Let's talk about Bill Gates. Why so disgusting?
Bill Gates is the major funder behind Common Core, and he funded the standards. He funded Achieve, and he's helped fund the National Governors Association and the Council of Chief State School Officers. And the international benchmarking that you'll hear often doesn't exist. What it is it's a document that was put together by Chief and members of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and that's what they're using as their international benchmark. There's no empirical evidence. Common Core was not piloted in one single school, not one single district, not one single state. So here we are turning the entire education system around because Bill Gates wants a workforce that will work for his corporation, and he wants all the teachers to be accountable for these students learning, and Bill Gates is accountable to nobody.
Exactly.
So we have big money who's taken over education, and another thing I want to point out is the copyright to the standards are owned by 2 private trade associations. That's what the NGA and CCSSO is.
Oh my gosh.
So for the first time in our history, we have private companies that own a copyright to our national standards, even though they don't call them that. That's what they are.
Yes.
And there's no way to make changes to it.
Yes.
When you see these developmentally inappropriate standards, there's nobody to petition. There's nobody to go to. You can't go to your local school board. You can't go to your state school board. Who are you going to petition?
And that's exactly what global government is supposed to be about. There is no more a government by the people, for the people that you have accountability you can relate to. It's unelected, let's say, upper management. That, for example, Bill Gates is only what we see. There is so much more behind that we don't see. He's the face, like George Soros of the world. They're just the face. There are others like them. They're pretty much the main architects of all this nightmare. And the sad thing people need to understand, that's why they try to divide us between left and right. Oh, this is about the state is going to take care of our kids. No, this is about a corporation. You're going to become a slave. And if you, let's say you're a person who believes in, I don't even want to call liberal because they're fascists at the end. They don't understand. It's not about, I'm liberal, I think. I believe in freedom. If you believe, the real liberals were our founding fathers. They believe in freedom. The people that now you support, Common Core, you've been brainwashed that there's a liberal agenda. No, this is a fascist agenda. As I said before, Benito Mussolini, everybody knows who was that scumbag, said fascism is the union between corporation and the state. What we have now here is pure fascism. And they need to shape the mind and the soul of our kids to serve the state. And in this case would be to serve the corporate world. I'm all for business, I'm all for profit, but I'm all for real business, for real free market. What we have here, as Mr. Rockefeller said, they don't want new businesses. They don't want new Americans becoming the new entrepreneur or the new special, company from the little garage become a new, top 50 or top 100, whatever. No, they want stop that. So they consolidate their power. So I pray the left people, they listen to the show. I never have I don't care about left or right. I just care about the truth. And I pray you have kids too. I don't even have kids. I feel sorry for you guys. I feel sorry for this nation. So stop playing this stupid game that you think just because we want to talk about freedom and what's happening to this education system. It's not about being liberal. It's about we're all going to become slaves, especially your kids. So jump. Let's stop our differences and come on, Cassandra, say something. I talk too much.
When we're talking about Bill Gates and the
Getting
financial
excited.
interests, there's so much more than just he's looking at a workforce. He's looking at an entire generation of customers.
Yes.
So this is huge advertising. A lot of the Common Core products we're seeing come out, curriculums that are aligned with Common Core, have advertisements built into them for preferred corporations. Now, we have people who are on the Arizona State Board of Education who were the former chairman of IBM, and we're looking at contracts coming down from these corporations. Just last week in the Senate Education Committee, there was a bill put forward in order to put tablets in all of the schools.
Wow.
And the goal was that it was only one vendor who was providing the tablets, and the tablets were pre-programmed with a curriculum. And they were not only programmed with the curriculum, they were also programmed with a monitoring system.
Yeah.
So you could tell where the student was within the school
Wow.
in order to register their attendance and things like that. So there's a lot of technology going into this, and many teachers and educators are big proponents of technology because that's kind of the way we're going. But at the same time, there's a dangerous aspect of some of this technology as well. And that also leads to something that becomes a threat to teachers. Now, in Arizona, we no longer have teacher tenure. And that seems like a good thing, so you can get rid of bad teachers. But when we move to completely computerized programs for your curriculum and teaching the students, all of a sudden teachers might not be quite as necessary.
Exactly.
And they could be demoted down to room monitors. Now, if the tablets are also monitoring the students and where
Yeah.
they're located, we might not even need the room monitors. We just need a couple security guards around the place. So we're looking at a fundamental change in the way that education will be happening and the direction we're moving, and teachers could very well become a thing of the past.
This is honest, I've done several shows since I started this experience at the radio, and we talk about very serious stuff, National Defense Authorization Act, Patriot Act, the Second Amendment, what's happening in our country, our rights that we're losing every day, and it's all very serious. This one today is hitting me like, normally I don't get passionate. I mean, I don't get personal. I try to be professional and keep my blood pressure low in an easy way. Today, I need to control my language. I will easily start to cuss like you have no idea. Really, but not in a stupid way. Really, I would give you exactly what I think about some individuals. Because regular English would not give you justice to show how much I despise you. If you're doing this to a nation, to a next generation, I don't know if you are just too stupid or you're just such a sellout. You have to live the rest of your eternity with this action that you're doing today to the rest of this nation and to who's coming after us. So it's not just about, I can live, okay, you just little corrupt, you get a little extra dollar somewhere. No, you are destroying the soul and the fiber of what's going to happen to this country.
Yep.
I get mad. Now, I had a song that I was going to play with you, was some sort of a love song to try to keep the theme a little bit more on, we have ladies, and I can't do that now. I need to play another song. It's called Don't Tread on Us, okay? And this is for every politician out there or every bureaucrats that knows what they're doing and they keep doing it to us and to our kids. And I'm going to be short because we're going to go next. But just the first part, I pray you rot in hell. That's my real prayer for you today, okay? So we got Don't Tread on Us, musical lyrics by Luca Zanna, okay?
slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. After a long train of abusive anticipation, now we've lost our patience. Yeah, you're trying to kill our constitution, to kill our pride. Now the wood is dry. Yeah. Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. You keep on pushing us into desperation. You'll only fuel our determination. It's been way too long since the last time, 1776. Now we're done with your tricks. Don't tread on us. Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us. Don't tread on us. Now it's payback time.
It's going to be payback time, hopefully pretty soon, for all these completely corrupted bastards. I know I can say bastard, I'll say it again. Up until, I really believe, in my opinion, you are just a piece of subhuman species. Because I don't care, if you're too stupid, you should go resign. And if you're smart, you are really doing something that is criminal, in my opinion, to the youth of the state of Arizona. Appenthal, John Appenthal, your job is way overpaid. You should just resign. So let's find somebody who's going to run against Appenthal. That's my mission. Is going to be the next few months. Every time I can open my mouth, still I have mouth to open. Speaking about freedom, our freedom here, our freedom of speech is supported by good businesses, real businesses, free market businesses that they support us with their dollars. So I need to remind Colorado River Vapor. Thank you, Tom. Thank you and his wife. They are a great shop. If you need some sort of alternative cigarettes, you gotta watch it. It's fun. I got mine too. And more important, they are fun. There is a nice live environment for music. You can meet people. They're located exactly in Highway 95, 40. My God, I'm getting blind here. 4400 Highway 95. Just in front of Maverick, okay? And also you can go to our friends MP Gun Sales. If you need a gun, you really need a gun, more than one, go please to MP Gun Sale, Fort Mojave, and they're on Highway 95, 4470, just in front of Maverick, okay? And also go to their website, mpguns.com. Now, back to our friends, our guests, Nichole and Cassandra. Please hit me.
I just wanted to mention a letter that I sent to Mr. Huppenthal last September that I never got a response to. Mm-hmm. It had quite a few questions in it, but I wanted to know how to file a complaint and get a book removed off the exemplar reading list for 11th grade. And it disturbs me that I never got an answer, but I know the answer because you can't change the standards and what's in it.
Okay.
But just to let the listeners know, I'll just give two examples, excerpts from Pages, The Bluest Eye. And people say that this is a great piece of work, this, that, and the other, but I don't think it should be in K through 12 standards. Anyways, page 162 to 163. A bolt of desire ran down his genitals and softening the lips of his anus. He wanted to F her tenderly. But the tenderness would not hold. The tightness of her vagina was more than he could bear. His soul seemed to slip down into his guts and fly out into her, and the gigantic thrust he made into her then provoked the only sound she made.
Wow.
This is a book that talks about an incestuous relationship between a father and a daughter,
Oh
and
God.
it's on the exemplar reading list for 11th grade in the Common Core Standards.
Okay, in Italy, what is 11th grade school? Is 10 years old, 12?
Oh, no. That's a high school.
Still.
So
16 to
16 to
16. I mean, you're a
17.
minor.
And a lot of people say, oh, that's nothing compared to what they're reading on, the internet or what
Oh, my
these kids
God.
are doing these days. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that it's on the list and there's no way to change it. And that's one of the more mellow excerpts. So I'll just leave it at there because it's so disturbing.
Listen, this is happening everywhere right now around the world. Pretty much that state wants to take over like to become the new father, the new mother. You have no more authority. California pretty much now it's almost outlaw to homeschool. Think about when you have no more given the type of option that we still have in the state of Arizona. I fringe. I would go probably to jail to think if I had to allow my kids to be brainwashed, to be transformed radically. I mean, let's not forget what Lenin said. Give me your children for 4 years. I'm going to pretty much own their brain. And you know what? It comes down to the point. I'm not a priest. I'm not a monk. I'm a regular guy. I'm not here to try to be on the high moral level like many. I'm not even saying that they're wrong. I mean, I'm not a priest. I'm not a preacher, okay? I'm all for my sins, okay? I'm a regular guy. But never an underage kid should be allowed, without the supervision of their parents, to be in such very serious type of topics. Because you can completely destroy, first of all, the psyche, the morality. When the guy goes grown up, he wants to do his choice, it's his business. But now, I think the only person who should be in charge of the type of education, talking about sexual education also, should be the family. What do you think, Cassandra?
Well, I agree wholeheartedly, but this is just one example of a book that's on the exemplar reading list. Now, we have it spanning all different grades. We have books that describe relationships between a pedophile and his victims, and where it encourages the reader to empathize with the pedophile.
Oh my God.
Because this is just a regular person. Well, I don't necessarily think that's appropriate, but even if we go down to the younger ages, like the 3rd grade level, they have a book called Harry Red Post, Is He a Girl? And it addresses some transgender issues and using the girls' bathroom by boys and things like that. Now, these issues of transgender issues, sexual confusion, should all be addressed in the home. This isn't something that should be discussed in the classroom.
Okay.
But that brings us on to the solution side of it.
Yes.
So you mentioned homeschooling. Arizona remains one of the best states for homeschooling.
Yes.
But we're looking, as the Common Core standards come down, there's more and more push to eradicate homeschooling.
Really?
Many
I'm
states are
surprised.
becoming more and more strict, and I expect that Arizona won't be far behind. But one way currently that you can avoid all of this altogether is by choosing your own curriculum and monitoring it very closely.
Yes.
Now, many homeschool products are aligning with Common Core as well, but there are still some that will cater to families who don't enjoy Common Core. But that's only one solution, and it's not for everyone. We're seeing a lot of creativity come out, though, where families are opting towards things like homeschool co-ops and different options for private schools. And again, not for everyone. So as far as fighting Common Core, Senator Ward mentioned some bills that are coming up in the Arizona Senate, and the primary bill that has been getting the most attention is Senator Melvin's SB 1310. Now, that's a very explicit bill that says we will not participate in Common Core. Now, there's some problems with that. For one thing, in Arizona, it's not called Common Core anymore.
Yes.
It is Arizona's College and Career Standards. So I don't even know if that bill would actually hold up. And there's so many backdoor ways for it to sneak in through technology and other sources that I don't know that the bill would actually be effective. I personally enjoy SB 1388 much more because that bill brings back local control. It puts the control back with the districts, and that's where it should be. And I believe in freedom and allowing the districts to choose rather than mandating one way or the other.
Because we have control. I remember we will have the teacher, Mike Weiser, that was with me last week. That was a strange episode that I never touched it yet. I was going to, keep it for the next meeting when in the district, in our Mojave County district at the school, there was invited this communist poet for really young teenagers. I don't even think they're 10 or 12. But anyway, we'll find out details. And, this was probably not common core, but still was some sort of a very dangerous accident. There wasn't an accident. That if you have some sort of not educational part, there was mostly for me propaganda, because, when you read this poet, what he's about, and exactly, there's no shy to say it, I'm all for engaging, but I'm over 18 and I can already have some sort of strength, and my ideas, they've already been shaped. So I can defend my ideals and also my integrity. When I have a 10 years old young man or woman in the school with a teacher and this guest that is a completely political agent, in my opinion, to subvert the minds, it's not about diversity, it's about brainwashing. I have a problem there. Mm-hmm. So at least though, in our county, in our district, people got involved, and guess what? Things got changed.
Now, I hope that we can continue to see some of that activism at the local level. Currently, we're not seeing very much pushback from especially parents. We're seeing some of the older members of the community who understand the dangers of this program pushing back, but we really need the outcry from the parents, or else we're going to find ourselves where New York is at right now, where their children have already been damaged for over a year, and this psychological damage is very hard to undo, if it ever can be undone. We need to be proactive and fight against this program before our children are hurt.
Today I say, I don't want to sound too corny, but I really mean it. Normally I just go through the show, I have fun, even when I talk serious stuff. Can get a little upset, but not that much. Today, I have to control my tongue, and I don't want to start to get vile, because I would start, when I go like that. I can go for 10 minutes, I don't stop. And what I would like to say, this is my personal, we still have a freedom of speech somehow, especially in our state. We do. What I would like to do, and I will do it myself, and I don't need to ask anybody approval. This is just my personal idea. I still have a phone line. I'm going to start to call. And you know what? It's public. It's not like you're calling their home. No. It's not in person. This is public business. Harpental, I know, has an office that is paid, is filthy, but is paid by our tax dollar payer. So his seats where he stays right now is paid by us. So, and the phone is going to touch his greasy hand. He's going to pay it by us. So I have the right to call him polite. I'm still being polite. This is believe it or not. This is for me being polite. And I let them know that I will do everything I can, lawfully, of course, to put him out of office. And I will do everything I can to share the truth. So I say, people, yes, there is so much power you can. If a regular person like me, that I really have I even had desire to be on this radio. I just wanted to be at the range normally on Sunday. But I really think this is something I have to do. We can help others. We can wake up others. You can do so much like you're doing, ladies. I'm so proud of you. You have families. You got fathers, husband to take care, and you got kids to take care on top of your life. I mean, you take your personal time. Today you could be, doing your nails or shopping at the mall. Whatever. It's normal, okay? You could have your private life. You say, whatever. Instead, you're doing your part, not just today, but you've been doing for since you understood the gravity we have. Mm-hmm. I don't expect everybody has to do what Cassandra and Nichole are doing, but at least get a phone call. It's free. Take 60 seconds of your time. How many millions of citizens we have? If we could reach even 1% and let them know what we think.
Well, and not only that, show up at the school board meetings.
Yes,
school board meetings, that's huge. If the board understands that the community is against this, they're going to have to take action.
Exactly.
But we haven't had very much support locally just yet. We need that support. We need the numbers. It's not too much to ask. But also remember, running against Huppenthal is Diane Douglas. Diane Douglas, she is not only against Common Core, she is for local support.
I want it on the show if it's possible over the phone. I would like to we can just get our pool of local listeners, and maybe we can reach others with the internet. I will do everything I can to at least give her a chance to explain her voice. And by the way, I would love to have Mr. Harpental on the phone. I wish he comes here to the studio. I really would like to see him in his eyes, how he looks. And I'm not trying to do anything dreadful. I'm just saying, really, as a human being, why are you doing this? If you're stupid, we can help you. If you are uneducated, At least I don't have any degree. I understand my accent sucks, and I don't even know grammar. I mean, I'm here as an immigrant, and I understand without education, this guy I think must be a genius, because to be in charge of the education must have a couple degrees at least, okay?
But not in education.
Not in education. Whatever he has is some sort of by the way, what type of a degree does he have?
I think it's an engineering degree, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have much background in education.
Anyway, so whatever. At least he's somebody that he has a piece of paper to put on the wall, okay? I don't. At the same time, I understand when you put me in front of evidence, I can start to use my brain and say, wait a second, we have a problem here.
Well, we've spoke with him a few times personally, and I've written to him a couple of times. And in the past year, he's been unable to answer any of our questions.
I know, and probably would never come here. But I would like to always to give him. I mean, for me, it's more important to reach people like him. At least we can also listen from his voice, because now I'm just basing my opinion according to facts that he's been doing. And then, of course, I would like to say again the name of the lady, please.
Diane Douglas.
Diane Douglas. I'm short with memory. Diane Douglas. Everybody get a piece of paper. Diane Douglas.
And her website, I believe, is dianedouglas.com.
Okay.
And she's running for Arizona State Superintendent of Public Education.
Okay.
Against John Huppenthal.
Perfect. And I'm sorry today, people hear me a little bit, I don't know, maybe disturbed. And normally I'm pretty much calmer. Today really hit me hard, I must tell you. And maybe that's good. That's why I say solution. In my opinion, every time before we find the solution, we must acknowledge that we have a problem.
Right.
I already knew that we have a problem. That's why I called you here. But sometimes we are so, overwhelmed by many other problems, and you try to do what you can a little bit. But today, I started to get more deeper into this problem, and it started to really hit the right spot. Let's put it this way. Now, after you understand you have a problem, you listener, you need to start to do the right thing. First of all, we have this lady. Say again the name, please.
Diane Douglas.
Good, Diane Douglas. And you need to find their website and start to say, maybe you know what, instead of spending the $5 at Starbucks, send it $5 for the campaign, or just maybe call other friends or other families. Hey, start to get involved. Number two, you said, let's go to the board school, to the school
Well, and there's
board.
another important office that's up for election this year, and that's the governor's race.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important to push the governor's candidates to take a strong stance against Common Core.
Absolutely.
Because they can also back us out of this overnight.
Yes.
Now, some of the candidates, I know Senator Melvin has come out against it. However, I don't feel he's really done his research on the Common Core program. In the Education Committee, he was practically slaughtered when specific questions were brought up about the program. But I do know that there are other candidates.
I'm not really prepared to speak
out
on them yet, because we haven't seen them personally.
Exactly, but
I know that Barry Hess is very much against Common Core.
Yes, I know Barry's really good, Barry. At least now the point is, everybody must do their own research. We're not going to tell you how to vote, but at least we have enough evidence to say, Mr. Huppenthal and Governor Brewer, okay, they're exactly the enemy of our education system. If we believe the education system is supposed to be local, it's supposed to be away from central mandates and, more important, indoctrination. So Huppenthal and Brewer, I always knew about Brewer. I've never been a fan of her, and I always said that she's a phony and she's a witch. But more important, she's a political witch, a backstabber. And, I laugh when people think, oh, you see the finger? That's called photo op, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Photo op, okay? I despise Brewer, seriously, from my heart, and I always did. I try to be nice and patient, because I have a lot of friends in the Republican Party that like to display the photo hugging the witch. I am at the point that now, if you have hugging the witch, I'm sorry. I think I need to remove you from my Facebook friends. Seriously, I'm at that point. I did the same thing a time ago with Trent Franks. It's another piece of trash, in my opinion, but that's okay. Anyway, let's keep going. We have a plan here. First of all, awareness, calling. We need to I like the phone call just to feel better. I'm sorry. It gives me a little bit of relief. When I let them know, and I control myself, I've never been out of place, but I let them know exactly till they don't hang up. Normally they don't, but they know it. I'm serious. Then when they come around the meeting, they come to visit us here. I like when Huppenthal now, hopefully he's going to come back soon next time. I would love to be in that room.
We show up every time.
Good, but next time I'll come with you, please.
Okay.
And I would like to have a chance to say 60 seconds exactly what I think about him. And then people can make up their mind. After that, I think we need to support legislators like, for example, Senator Kelly Ward. She's been very good about this one. We've seen facts. Also, Borelli. What do you think about our state rep, Sonny Borelli, about? He's been good about Common Core?
As far as Common Core goes, yes, he's against Common Core, though he hasn't been extremely vocal.
Okay.
He hasn't gone around campaigning against it or anything
I
like
know.
that, as far
So-
as I can tell. But he
At least
doesn't
he's
vote
voting
in
right.
favor.
Okay, good. And of course, we gotta show up at these school meetings.
I wanted to go over a short list
Please, go ahead.
that I just pulled up, and this is a short list because
Yes.
it's much more extensive. I have a whole binder
I know.
of facts about
We need a
people
week here.
against it. But this should make anybody stop and take pause in
Yeah.
our legislature about moving forward or doing nothing
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to putting the brakes on this. These are people who are against Common Core altogether, or who are trying to pause it immediately so that standards can be adjusted that are inappropriate, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
So we've got the U.S. Congress. There was 9 GOP senators and 43 GOP representatives that did a resolution against Common Core. You've got the Cato Institute, the Heritage Foundation, Freedom Works, the National Scientific Council on the Developing Child from Harvard University, the NEA and the AFT, two of the biggest teachers unions, just came out in New York against it. Well, to pause it and do a course correction because they're devastating the kids in New York.
Yeah.
The Pioneer Institute, the American Association of Christian Schools, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. The RNC did a unanimous resolution against Common Core. And then you've got members of the Validation Committee, the Common Core Validation Committee, that have been speaking all over the country who refuse to sign off on it. Dr. Sandra Stotsky and Dr. James Milgram. And for those who don't know, Dr. Sandra Stotsky, she was really credited with creating the Massachusetts state standards. And for anybody who doesn't know, Massachusetts is the #1 state in the United States as far as education. And this doctor was credited with helping develop those standards that made them the #1 state in education. And her feedback was not listened to during this whole Common Core process. They refused to answer her questions.
Wow.
And in the end, she couldn't sign off on them because she said they're an empty set of skill sets. And then Dr. James Milgram, who's a mathematician and a professor at Stanford,
Yeah.
went on to, he wouldn't sign off and validate the standards either. And he said that it puts us 2 years behind any high-performing other country.
And the fact that we have proofs that there is no really content, there is no really educational value, that's bad enough. And I would say, you know what? I would say that's terrible. But there is one part that really gets me into my heart, and I can't stop getting stressed over that, when I see the connection with global government. Because I'm telling you, I give you a name, for example, Craig Barrett, okay? Craig Barrett is our so-called Arizona education expert, okay? Has ties directly to the United Nations as well. Because Craig Barrett is the chairman of ACHIEVE, chairman of the Arizona Ready Education Council, and is also a faculty member of the Thunderbird School of Global Management.
And he's also the former chairman of IBM.
But IBM, whatever, is bad as enough. But the problem is, what we have here, Barrett is also former member of the United Nations Global Alliance for Information and Communication Technologies. It's called UNGAID. What is this group missions? Let's find out exactly what they do about. This is so important. The UNGID will launch a set of online tools aimed at providing users around the world with the resources of a means to accelerate progress on the Millennium Development Goals at the national level by the target year 2015. What are these Millennium Development Goals? They're all part of United Nations Agenda 21. Number 1, eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Okay? It's called redistribute wealth, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not Rockefeller. I'm a regular guy. But this is the time I understand the scam when somebody's trying to completely make us all poor. Number 2, achieve universal primary education. It's called Common Core. We're all stupid and dumbed down. Give you my little, opinion. Number 3, reduce child mortality. I mean, at least nobody wants child mortality. Why? Agenda 21, Principle 6, sounds good. Go to find out exactly what it means about. Number 4, promote gender equality. I don't care what you do about your sexual life, but when it's being shoved in our throat and forced, becomes pretty much now no more about freedom. It's becoming about almost like the eco-fascism. It's going to be the new map of the gay lobby, okay? Because I respect gays. At the same time, they don't need to force on my child their beliefs. Number 5, improve maternal health. It means free abortions, a birth control that I would say I would still be opposed. But when I have to be forced to pay for your abortion, I have a double problem. That's disgusting. I mean, you want to do abortion, go to talk to God. And I still think this is under crime, felony, it's homicide. But that's my opinion. I leave it to that. But when you use my tax dollar to do that, I have a really serious moral problem there. I start to get really mad. Anyway, ensure environmental sustainability and developing global partnership development. So this other piece of human garbage, Craig Barrett, is the guy that is part of this implementation of Common Core in our state, and look what also works for.
Well, and it's important to point out that the Arizona Ready Council, which he is a member of, is the governor's appointed shadow state board of education. Those are not elected members by the public. They are all appointed positions, and they are running the state board of education.
We're almost there. Give me the last love message, Nichole, whatever you want to say, because I'm kind of...
I wanted to say that we've got over 1 million students and over 60,000 teachers in Arizona. And every single one of them is going to suffer once Common Core is fully implemented. And I feel for the students, I feel for the teachers, and ultimately I feel for the families, because this is driving a wedge between kids and their parents. Their parents can't help them. And it's just horrible, and it needs to be stopped. The outrage has got to come from the parents, especially parents with kids, because they just think I'm a lunatic because I don't have any children in schools.
I have no kids, okay, period.
But
and
you're
I am
still
so
concerned.
no, I'm upset. Like I have to go do a jogging before I come back home, because I'm gonna be furious about this, because I see where it's going. I have somehow, I don't want to call it the gift. I'm not just that dumb. Let's put it this way: you can see where it's going 10 years. You can see where it's going 20 years, and to grow old in this country, to see like, I don't know.
I just wish that parents understood the magnitude of this problem, because it is worth missing one night of your favorite show or a night of soccer practice or whatever. It's worth it to miss it in order to be at the school board meeting and speak out on behalf of your children.
You know what?
There's nothing more important in this world.
I have a message for whatever they call the other side, because I have no sides. My side is freedom, United States Constitution, and truth, okay? So please, I'm not for the right, I'm not for the left, just for what I think is right and what is wrong. Of course, I try to oppose it. This is not about anything good. This is not about free education. This is not about getting our kids smart. It is about total enslavement. And if somebody like me, I saw the transformation of this country that already started a long time ago, even before I came here. I came in 1998. But in the last 10 years, I don't recognize anymore America. And I can see how it can all this accelerate if they can steal the soul and the mind of our youth. I tell you an example. Part of my family, they were, during Mussolini time, part of my family, they were fighting Mussolini. Part of my family, they were working for Mussolini. I had, for example, my uncle. He was a camicia nera, black shirt. He had no choice. They got him when he was 12. He was educated. Mussolini was the God. Mussolini give you the light. Mussolini give you food. The government, it's your God. So you are part of defending the government, the state. And then you have other part of the family that would understand that, also for religious reason. They were completely on the other side, and they were the persecuted. And the bottom line is, that's what's going to happen. We can stop it. But if they take control of our new generation kids, it's going to be civil war. It's going to be completely the destruction of this country so fast. And I know what they're doing that. So listen, as I said, I'm here because I really believe that we can do a little change, at least in our local communities. And I hope everybody's listening to this show. Don't just go back to do you go do whatever you have to do today, Sunday, enjoy your Sunday. But tomorrow start to think. I'm sure there is 5 minutes you can use your precious time to make a phone call. Even start to call Representative Doris Goodale. You don't need to call everybody. Forget about Humpenthal or Appenthal, whatever it is. Call our state rep that is elected right now and still wants to run for re-election. I will call Doris if she ever takes my call. And I know she already knows where I'm standing, but I still want to remind her, please, I'm not even mad. I'm begging you. Open your eyes. Open your heart. Last message of love, Cassandra.
Well, I just want to make it clear to the audience that if we lose this battle, there is no other battle. It doesn't matter how hard you fight Medicaid expansion or NSA spying or whatever your pet issue is, your Second Amendment rights. None of that is even going to matter once a generation of the youth has been brought up through Common Core. There will be no fight, and there will be no future of freedom in the United States.
And the last thing I would like to say, you're completely right. I am, at this point, I think every one of us should run for something. I'm not running for anything, but I pray local people in our school boards. So important how much you're doing a great job. You're bringing awareness, but think how much more good you could do if you sit down with the information, education you have about this topic to run for a local office that would implement changes immediately, So I pray everybody that wants to do something, hey, you want to run for local office. School boards, the excellent thing to start to stop this, right?
Right. And if anybody has any questions, I hope they'll go to our Facebook page, and we'd be happy to give them additional information.
Yes.
Mojave County Against Common Core. We have facts and documents that will make your head spin, or if you just want a simple synopsis so you can write a letter to your representatives, I'd be happy to provide that as well.
I will link your two Facebook's personal accounts plus the Common Core board on Facebook on the website lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a page for today's show. It's March the 2nd, 2014. The people will find the archives pretty soon, the next 24 hours. And go to the link. So please, people, let's join together. And my prayer is for especially the other side, or whatever they're going to call themselves. They think we're the other side. The liberals or the Democrats, they think this is good. Please, let's stop this division. Let's work together. The future of America and freedom belongs to all of us. And it's all our duty to stop this mess. Thank you very much. Thank you again. And you've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on 1340 AM K-Talks. And this was Luca Zanna. Thanks.